Oh boy, it's Short Take Saturday. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Andrew Hody, of course, from Raw Takes with you. I just want to get this out of the way before I go into any sports news or highlights or anything like that. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Make sure you stay safe. Have a wonderful holiday with your family. Spend it with those you love and enjoy it, because that's what the holidays are all about. Spend it with the people you love. Spend it with your close friends. And, of course, an early Happy New Year as well. Of course, I'll have some more Raw Takes shows before we get into 2025, but I just wanted to get that out there. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Wanted everyone to know that from me, Andrew Hody. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe as always. Now, as I said, we have a plethora of things going on. All the college football games. I was going to make this like a college football reflection style show. Penn State blowing out SMU. Obviously a good win for Penn State, advancing in the bracket. Obviously Notre Dame smacking Indiana. Indiana's strength of schedule obviously being their biggest weakness. We could talk about that too, but the Cavs obviously getting a big win over the Milwaukee Bucks yesterday, the defending NBA Cup champions. Oh boy, it didn't look like the Milwaukee Bucks showed any kind of fight yesterday, although Giannis did, but the rest of the Bucks are just Chris Middleton, I think, scored 14. We could talk about that later. The Cavs play tonight against the 76ers as I'm recording this. And we have a lot going on. The NFL, Baltimore still has the lead on Pittsburgh as I'm recording this video. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs today taking down the Houston Texans. I almost said the Astros there. Not the Astros, it's the baseball team, the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud, obviously, with an okay game, but Mahomes and company doing what they do best yet again. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are obviously the best team probably in the NFL until proven otherwise. But we could talk about all of that. We could talk about Ohio State, Tennessee tonight. Obviously, pressure on Ryan Day. I just want to get this out in the open now. What are the Cleveland Guardians doing? I'm honestly pissed off by the news of Josh Naylor going to the Arizona Diamondbacks, because I already made the video on the Andres Jimenez trade and how stupid it was. This is even more stupid. I mean, at least Andres Jimenez isn't a power bat. This was one of your home run leaders last year, and you're moving him? Why? And listen, I get it. He didn't have a great postseason. Josh Naylor was not good in the postseason. I'll be the first to tell you that. What are the Guardians doing here? What's the objective of trading one of your best players that made last year such a success? I mean, honestly, you're knocking on the door of a World Series, and you're moving off your best players. Contenders don't do this. And we know that the Guardians have made all this money from the attendance rise. So there should be tons of capital to spend if you're the Guardians. But the Dolans refuse to do so, and so we're stuck with this. And so if I'm a Cleveland fan right now, I just want to say, bite your tongue with this move. Obviously, you still have some good players there. You have Jose. Shane Bieber's coming back. There's some great pieces. Hold your tongue, bite your tongue with this move, because it's stupid overall, but you know what? Chris Antonetti still knows what he's doing. And even though I don't trust the Dolans at all, I trust Chris Antonetti, and I'm at a point where I'm going to start to trust Stephen Vogt even more too, because it's not their fault. They are handicapped to the situation where the Dolans are going to give them this capital, and that's it. And it's unfair to Cleveland Guardian fans everywhere. We've been struggling in attendance for years, and last year we kind of turned into a baseball town. And to see a move like this made is just utterly sad. Josh Naylor was kind of a fan favorite here, and not just because he was a fan favorite, because, you know, these are independent contractors. They come, they go. It's sports. That's what it's all about. But you know what? Josh Naylor, it's just, he was such a good player and such a key to your success in 2024. It makes zero sense why you move off him. I trust Antonetti knows what he's doing with the capital he's given. I don't trust the Dolans, and I'm going to keep going back on the Dolans. There's still plenty of people in this town that are going to defend the Dolan spending. I'm not. The Dolans are the problem, and why I personally believe the Cleveland Guardians will never win a World Series as long as the Dolans continue to spend like this. They're the problem. It's not Antonetti. It's not Stephen Vogt. It's not even the pitching or the hitting. It's spending. If you spend money on this roster, you can compete with the New York Yankees of the world and the Boston Red Sox of the past and the Houston Astros and the Minnesota Twins in your division, the Kansas City Royals, the Detroit Tigers who are on the rise. This is on ownership. They got to spend more money. And so I am pissed off by the Josh Naylor move. I'm just going to say it flat out as that. And I'm trying to stay as calm as I can about it, of course. But I'm just going to say it out. It pisses me off to see a team make a move like that. It really, really does. Another thing, too, is Myles Garrett's comments yesterday. I know the Browns getting into their game with Cincinnati, and a game that's honestly pretty much meaningless at this point. The only thing it really means is, hey, Cincinnati, can you keep your playoff hopes alive, which are very thin to begin with. Denver losing actually helps them out because they play Denver next week. So Cincinnati is really the only team that has anything to play for tomorrow. But having said that, Myles Garrett made some pretty strong comments. He doesn't want to play for a rebuilding team. And I'm just going to say this, I don't blame him. I'm a Clevelander. I know he has roots here now, owning a small stake in the Cleveland Cavaliers. I know he's given it his all to this city, to this franchise. If I'm Myles Garrett, I would be very frustrated with the Cleveland Browns right now. I really would be. This is a rough season that's turning into a disaster. It's unfortunate. And Myles Garrett has every right for the stature and everything he's done for the Cleveland Browns the last 8 years of his career, essentially. And an 0-16 season, this season, 2 playoff appearances. Do you blame a guy for saying, hey, I think he's got a good enough reputation in this town at this point to say, yeah, I mean, I've given all to my city, the team that drafted me, all to this franchise. I don't want to be part of a rebuilding process. I don't blame Myles Garrett for those comments. I don't necessarily know it was the right time to make those comments because now all the other NFL teams are saying to themselves, let's make money. Let's make some money. Let's make some offers right off the rip. Let's get his value going. So the timing of it, I don't necessarily know is great for the Cleveland Browns. I think you would have wanted to wait till the offseason, or Myles Garrett maybe should have kept quiet about it because A, it'll help the Browns possibly if you move off him in the offseason. If he says nothing and you can get maybe 2 or 3 first-rounders, now him saying about it's clearly a frustrated player. Well, that decrease his value as well. And that's going the same if he goes to a team that also ends up being a disaster. Let's say like he gets traded to the Seattle Seahawks because they believe they're 1 inch closer to the playoffs. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I don't think the Seattle Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl anytime soon. I'm just using that team as an example. If you got traded to a team like that, will the Seattle Seahawks even go all in on that would also be a question. I'm just saying theoretically. I mean, yeah, exactly. So, like, it could end up being a possible backfire in terms of his value and what he's able to get out of another team. So having said that, I don't blame Myles Garrett for feeling that way. I necessarily am not sure I would have said it, but I think if anyone in this town has the right to say what he said about the current situation with the Cleveland Browns, it's hands down Myles Garrett. He's earned that right. He's a defending Defensive Player of the Year. The Brown season has been a disaster, and it's not his fault at all. It's not Myles Garrett's fault, and everyone in this town would say that. Myles Garrett can't play quarterback. He can't play running back for Nick Chubb. He can't play every offensive position. He's a defensive guy, obviously. He's been the force of a very good defense. The Browns' defense is still pretty darn good overall. They're not great as they were last year, but they're still a pretty damn good defense led by Jim Schwartz. And that's what he feels. I don't blame it. He's the star of this football team. He deserves better. And I'm not so sure the Browns are going to be able to give that to him. So if I'm Myles Garrett, I'd feel exactly the same way. And if Myles Garrett possibly plays his last 3 games as a Cleveland Brown the last few weeks, I'm not complaining. He deserves to go somewhere else and win. A player of his stature absolutely deserves it. And I give Myles Garrett credit for manning up and even saying that to the media. I'm not saying, as I said, I would have said it because of the value situation. But having said that, I don't blame him for feeling that way. And even if he let it out there because he feels like it, I think he's earned the right. Ultimately, he has. I don't blame Myles Garrett for any of the Browns' problems whatsoever. I hate to, it's just been an emotional week with these 2 news stories. So there's a lot going on in the college football world, a lot going on in the NFL today. As I said, as I'm recording this, Baltimore and Pittsburgh are still playing. AFC North title possibly on the line tonight. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But there's a lot more going on for tomorrow. So make sure to tune in to Raw Takes on Christmas Eve for my reflection of the upcoming NFL week, what happens in the college football playoffs to wrap up the weekend, and so much more. Of course, the NBA, the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll talk about all of that on the next edition of Raw Takes. Thank you for tuning in to Short Take Saturday today. Have a wonderful holiday if you don't hear from me until then. Take care, everybody. I'll see you hopefully next week on Raw Takes with Andrew Hody.